Hello YouTube and welcome back to Chicagoland for race number 7 of the Coke Vanilla Cup Series, and joining me in the booth is Stephen Pod III.
Hey guys, I'm back.
So we got the Broan 400 here, and on the pole from qualifying on Thursday was Will Lewis starting alongside Sky Commons. Joshua Osborne and Dylan Young make up row number 2. Dylan Young signing an extension to pilot this ride at least for the next year. We'll have to check in on the details of that at some point. Jeffrey McCullough and R.J. Reynolds make up row number 3, with Levi McIntyre and Tim Randolph row 4, Charles Jackson and Tristan Wilhoit in row number 5, and I'll hand it off to Stephen for his thoughts and predictions for this one.
After we saw the truck race, it looks like the leader can get away for a few laps and pull away. Bottom of turn 3 is going to be really interesting to see on the last few laps if whoever makes the mistake and goes down there. It's going to be hard to pick a winner here. I'll go out of the box. Yeah, I'll say maybe Lewis who went from the front row or Seth. Seth had a fast car in the practice session, so we'll see if what plays out. But if you start in the back, you're pretty much not moving to the front.
At least so we would think based on yesterday, but who knows, we'll see. Either way, here comes the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
A little bit of an impromptu on this as well. Onboards that we'll carry. Chris Washer will be carrying the Chevy onboard. Tristan Wilhoit will be carrying the Ford onboard. Vince Almarego, the Menards onboard camera. Charles Jackson, the Dodge onboard camera. Levi McIntyre, the Office Depot onboard. Zach Rogers, the Valvoline onboard camera. And Bill Braddock Jr. will be carrying the Toyota onboard camera, as he's going to be starting towards the rear of the field.
I think Chris Washer took over the points lead last week. I could be wrong, but he's the points leader coming in.
Yep, points coming in. Chris Washer is the points leader by 31 over Tristan Wilhoit. That was actually about 2 weeks ago, I think, in terms of racing action. Vince Almarego is third, Tim Randolph fourth, Charles Jackson fifth. Those guys are top 5 are separated by 112 points. Levi McIntyre, Zach Rogers, Seth Cole, Christopher Pierce, and Muhammad Zain Abdullah, the top 10. Top 11 could leave here as the points leader, with Bill Braddock Jr. being 11th in points. And the Broan 400 is green with a Chevy and a Toyota on the front row.
And I'll try to make some less mistakes today. Here comes the 70 of Oatscon.
Yes, this is similar to what we saw yesterday, although that leader not able to break out as much. Here comes Osborne.
Now Osborne, he missed a few races, but the team has been coming on strong recently. Good to see him up there.
Of course, obviously not going to be here next week. Next week is a COT race on the road course at Mosport, I believe, for this series as well.
And now, if you notice, I didn't mean to cut you off, there, Charles. If you noticed in turn 3, when they can get the run, but they have to lift. So that's going to be a very interesting point, like it made earlier.
Yeah, outside line definitely a little bit more favored in 3 and 4, but McCullough doesn't care. Help from teammate. Well, I was going to say doesn't care, but with help from teammate does get to second. Will Lewis led lap 1. Osborne now leads lap 2 and is pulled out to almost a half-second lead.
I don't know what's going on. I'm usually seeing McCullough, the 55, and some of the other guys in the DQ race.
Well, Levi McIntyre quickly decided to make a move on his own teammate here. McCullough gets the run, but it's going to be McIntyre getting the advantage there at the line. The gap already 0.6 of a second. Osborne loving this right now in his rearview mirror. Now here comes Jackson wanting to make a move for second. I would expect these guys to actually have to make pit stops today too, by the way. Just keeping that in mind.
Ooh, that'll be interesting, because it's a real hard pit road to get onto.
And now the gap to 0.7, but Jackson has cleared, so we'll have to see if he can chase down the 70. Zach Flickinger also clears in the 55.
I gotta say about Jackson. Jackson was struggling the beginning of 06. He found a groove toward the end of the year, and that 9 car is coming on really strong, like you said, Charles. So I'm expecting good things out of Charles for the rest of the year, and especially this race.
Yep, we'll have to see. Back of the field right now. This is chaotic. Although Mary Shelley from 42nd, trying to work her way up through the field, needs every little bit of points that they can get.
Well, Mary Shelley is the new Bill Elliott or Terry Labonte of the series.
And this is about what we're talking about here with the tire wear and checking up in 3 and 4 right there. You could see it.
So, well, if you get the run on the last lap, you have the win on the high side. You just have to be running the perfect groove to win the race.
Battle for second. Zach Flickinger now inside of Charles Jackson for the race lead. They were within 0.2 of a second. They were.
Zach Flickinger, I think the jet fuel has returned to the 55 car.
They were a go homer. They're not even top 45 in points. It still actually gained 100th that lap, by the way.
You know, the 55 didn't make a race till Dover in real life, so this is kind of unrealistic.
To be fair, we also only have 8 DNQs in each race, so.
That's just true. They had over 50 in every race.
So Zach Flickinger now getting the run. Osborne cuts him off, though, down the front straightaway. Not going to be good enough, though.
How about a shout out to the Haas CNC first and fourth? That's a great showing for that team.
Yeah, they've been doing good so far, and they're focusing just solely on the non-COT races this season, so they've got qualifying speed, they've got race speed when they show up.
There's a good mix right there. Here comes Jackson up fine, which is now going to let Zachary pull away. Now, if Zachary wins, that's going to be a big one. They'll dig him out of the hole in the points just a little bit.
At least just a little bit. Jackson would get a solid points day with top 5 if he can hang on to it. I mean, still very early on in this one. As Chris Wilson now tries to make the move on Osborne. He clears him as well. Oh, that's not who you want to block.
Well, that's going to be an interesting meeting as I just gave him praise at Haas CNC.
Jackson, though, is clear. He sets his sights now on the 55 as Wilson now tries to defend from Levi McIntyre.
Well, the truck race, the people were side by side a lot longer. Now everybody's more separated, so I wonder if it's the tire wear or the cup cars are too fast to keep in a pack.
I would probably say the cup cars are too fast. We're 20 miles up on where we were yesterday. 207, 209 into turn 1 for Chris Wilson there.
Well, if you blow a tire, it's going to be an Eric and Rage injury from Pig Street.
Got the wrong driver, I think, there.
Well, we know Henry Sanford got injured at Atlanta last year. Let's just...
So Jackson now starting to close in a little bit here on Flickinger. Flickinger, though, gets 5 bonus points for leading the lap. Those will be crucial for him, if nothing else. Gap now down under 0.3. As there's your top 5. Sky Commons back to 6th. McCullough's still in 7th. I think Duncan's up to 9th. Louvier top 10. And there's your best battle on track right now is for 11th.
And maybe this is going to help Zachary get up in the points. You know, he's the highest guy who's made every race.
I think he's actually the lowest that's made every race.
Correction, yes.
Yeah, he's made every single... Oh, hello. This is a...
Hornet's nest.
This is a mess. Good luck getting out of this. Holy crap. They're already almost half a lap down, too.
Well, they must have the RJ Reynolds set up in the car.
Well, these guys are going 190, or they were going like 200 some down the straightaways. These guys are only getting to 205 compared to I think like 208. Speaking of RJ Reynolds.
Yeah, it looks like in the pack they're slower, but if you're by yourself, you can run a lot faster.
Yeah, speaking of RJ Reynolds there.
As you know, that's one of Kev's drivers, and if you guys know what the Daytona incident is, they're going down as like the Montreal screw job.
Yeah, they're not quite half a lap down yet, but Flickinger, let's see where the best battle is right now. Let's try and find it. This is probably about the closest right now. It's Duncan versus Will Lewis. You can
At
definitely
least
see
it's not
tire
that.
wear though.
At least it's not that damn 63.
You can definitely see the tire wear starting to affect them a little bit. They're not getting to that 209 as quickly. I guess this might be the best battle on track. Shelton now going for 13th here on Fitzwater.
This looks like William. No, oh, just gonna lose that bottom line. I think it got to be up the cost of the car to lose speed.
Might be. As meanwhile, Muhammad Zain Abdullah makes the move on Dylan Young now, side by side here. Flickinger starting to pull away a little bit on the 9 of Charles Jackson.
Yeah. Let's see if Muhammad. No, Muhammad's gonna get the.
He'll clear him.
Get it.
He'll clear him, and here comes Fitzwater with a run. That's going to be a good run there for him. Gets to the inside. Not quite. Dylan Young throws a block. Actually, that 55 and the 9 basically very even. Now the 9 gains that 400th back as Fitzwater makes the move.
He's not going to be able to. Not as good as the other car who just passed him. I already forgot who did.
I don't. You mean that one?
The Muhammad.
Yeah. So Shelton now, though, trying to take advantage of the loss of momentum there for Fitzwater. And will do so. So move the 21 up to 13th. That's a solid run for him. 28th in the owner's points coming in or so. It's 28th to 27th. Fitzwater going to lose a spot to Tim Randolph, though, through 3 and 4.
As you see, stars that. Whoa.
Ooh, that was a block and a half.
It's high as you see some of the guys who are in the truck race are moving toward the field like Jess and Randolph. So I think some of that experience is paying off.
Yeah, Will Hoyt's starting to try and move through. He wasn't in the truck race, but looks like Fitzwater's car just kind of fallen off a little bit. He's lost 3 spots now. Maybe just going through the tires a little bit too much, or just got a little bit of marbles on him or something.
Where's Washer? I haven't seen Washer all race.
Checking in on him. Back in 29th right now, battling with Delon Ebrahimian in the 6th. That is a battle for the 28th position.
He would lose the points lead if it stands right now.
Yes, he would. Because Will Hoyt would pass him at the very least. So, meanwhile, Ebrahimian now going to try and fend off from Vince Almarego. That's 3rd in points right there in the 15.
Ouch.
And even the back of the field now starting to kind of get spread out a little bit because we saw Henry Sanford was in that big mess of cars a little while ago.
Bill Braddock Jr., who I think he's up there, he's having a rough day too.
Yep, Ebrahimian now still stuck on that outside line. Sanford going to try and clear him off of turn number 4. Not quite clear, but should be able to clear him into turn number 1. So Ebrahimian's starting to fall back a little bit. Speaking of Braddock. Bram Patterson, the Atlanta winner right now, 34th. It's been a rough few weeks for them as well. And, wow. 14th in the points coming in for the drivers. That's not going to help their stats for the owner's points, though.
Nope, that's not going to help Steve Pollard at all.
Oh, massive frame lag there. Reynolds, though, now clears as the entire field is no longer one big, gigantic pack. And we got pit stops.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see anybody take 2, who takes 4, how much new tires is going to be the gain on the field.
Well, let's check it out, because looks like Chris Wilson might be the one and only car who might have pit there. Oh, no, actually, both of the Haas cars coming in.
Looks like he's taking 2 tires.
Tim Randolph also in. It's going to be 4 tires.
I saw somebody's going to gamble. We saw some gambling at Bristol during the green flag pit stop. No, not Bristol. It was one of the races.
Amy Shelley stays out. McCullough leads a lap.
Amy Shelley did some gambling, and they were able to get through the field at Auto Club. So be interested to see what happens here.
Okay, gonna try and see what happens here with the 55 and the 9. A lot of cars on pit lane this time around. There goes the 55 down and away. Might have been just 2 tires there. The 01's down and away. Yeah, that just a slow stop on the 9. But definitely Zach Flickinger beating the 55 out that time around.
That's going to be game over right there.
Now the question is, there's the 66. Okay, so that answers that question. Mary Shelley in this time. Looks like the rest of the cars pitting this time around. Okay, so Shelley's on her way off of pit lane. And there goes Flickinger already. So, should cycle around to Zach Flickinger. We'll have to check in on that. We'll wait for it to cycle fully around. And that should have been their one and only pit stop for the day.
Yeah, we went 25 laps. The race is 41, so we should not have one.
And so Flickinger has cycled around to the lead by 2.5 seconds over the 66 of Chris Wilson, and that is a lap car. Bill Braddock Jr. losing a lap through the pit stop cycle. Third in the race now is Chris Louvier. Fourth, Charles Jackson. Fifth, Joshua Osborne. Sixth to now Jessica Shelton, who has gotten away from Max Anderson. Will Lewis 7th, Max Anderson in 8th. Dylan Young 9th. Amy Shelley rounding out the top 10, so staying out really good for the 12.
Yeah, they were mired in the pack.
Gene Sanford 11th, Tristan Wilhoit 12th, Stephen Paul III 13th, Jonathan Zorline 14th, William Brock, Levi McIntyre, Zach Rogers, William Duncan, Zachary Fitzwater, and Johnny Gardner round out the top 20. Jeffrey McCullough 21st, got 5 bonus points out of that pit stop cycle though. Sam Young, Vince Almarego, Sky Commons, Mohammed Zain Abdullah, Seth Cole, Mary Shelley now in 26th, Mark George, Tim Randolph 29th, and Brian Patterson rounded out the top 30. RJ Reynolds pulled off some pit strategy, moved up from 40th to 31st. Dylan Ebrahimian back to 32nd. James Qualls, Preston Plord, Kyle Matthews is a lap down. Cole Deaver, Jack James, Steve Pollard is a lap down as well. Henry Sanford, Christopher Pierce loses a lap. Chris Washer, 38th. Those are the running order. And like I said, Bill Bragg Jr., Kyle Matthews, Steve Pollard, and Christopher Pierce all losing a lap through the pit stop cycle. Meanwhile, it is... Wow! Chris Wilson was, what, 2.5 back last time by?
He must have been saving his tires.
Chris Wilson making a move, and this would be to complete Haas CNC Racing winning this season. 70's already won, and now new leader, Chris Wilson in the 66.
Hell, the 70's even won the D&Q series, so they're bad at 1,000 this year.
Bill Bragg Jr. now passing the 55. Well, remember, the 66 took 4 tires. I think the 55 just took 2.
He must have. That's why I got the advantage. The 66 pitted early, which helped.
And here comes Charles Jackson, who we know took 4 tires on pit lane. We saw that. And now he's going to pass the 55. So pit strategy is going to kill Zach Flickinger's race because now they took 2 tires and they're feeling the ill effects of it right now. Back to third now for the 55. Now Osborne's going to have to see if he can catch the 55. Same for Chris Louvier. Dylan Young now trying to pass Max Anderson. This is for 8th. As Steven's gone quiet on me.
No, I'm not quiet. There's not much going on.
Oh. Amy, I figured you would have had some sort of comment on the fact that the 55's pit crew seems to have screwed them out of this race.
Well, they're using jet fuel, so I guess it didn't fuel properly.
Amy Shelley now trying to make a move on Max Anderson. This is for 9th. And Gene Sanford going to try and quietly make her way into the top 10, I think, right now. Because she's just behind this battle as Shelley now loses ground off turn number 4.
As a good run for. I mean, the Shelleys have been struggling this year. Tom is having a retirement year tour, I guess.
Dylan Young now makes the move on Will Lewis. He is flying through the field right now. Meanwhile,
There's my
Fitzwater.
favorite car.
Fitzwater making some moves
Hey,
now, up
there
to
I am
14.
back there.
Yeah.
The 31 wins paint scheme of the year.
Actually, that should be to move him into 13th. I think that, or 12th or something. I don't know. Meanwhile,
Well,
Max Anderson. What?
I said, who else is the lap down? Because if Braddock is 39th, there's 3 other cars that fall a lap down.
Kyle Matthews, Steve Pollard, and Christopher Pierce.
Whoa.
3 wide with Amy Shelley, Max Anderson, Will Lewis, Zachary Fitzwater going to throw his name into that mix. Will Lewis looks to be falling back. Maybe he only took 2 tires on that pit stop as well.
Look at this. What a hornet's nest. It looks like that's everybody.
Max Anderson falling back a little bit as well. Fitzwater now into the top 10 as Dylan Young has caught Shelton now for 6th. So maybe some newer tires here, or maybe we just didn't see that Shelton maybe took 2 tires as well. Meanwhile, Osborne has gone past Flickinger. Those 2 tires not doing what the 55 needed at all.
Nope, and it looks like MWR is firing the pit crew again.
And I just saw it on the leaderboard. Battle for the race lead between the 66 and the 9.
This is not going to be Jackson's first win, but this is going to be the first win of the season, I believe.
It'd be his first win of the season. Believe it would actually tie him once again for most wins in the series with Brendan Patterson at 6. I believe Jackson's got 5 wins. Now he's to the lead as Chris Wilson starts to fall back. As he had the outside line.
And there's Braddock. I mean, Braddock is kind of messing up here.
Well, he's staying out of this battle right here, but he's trying to get back on the lead lap if he can, just in case of a caution.
Well, Charles, we just failed because that was actually the white flag.
Oh my God.
well, ladies and gentlemen, that was why I went quiet, because we were just talking.
Yeah, basically. Charles Jackson wins the Broan 400, and I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe that is his 6th career win in the series, which would tie him for most wins all time with Brendan Patterson.
And I think that was the last lap pass for the win.
Yeah. Wow. I blame pit stops.
You know,
I blame the pit stops.
I blame me going quiet.
Okay, wow. Fitzwater with a great run. Okay, so top 10 here today. Jackson, Wilson, Osborne, Flickinger, and Louvier with Fitzwater, Shelton, McIntyre, Dylan Young, and William Duncan. That is going to be Fitzwater's first top 10 of the season. Put it that way. That will do them wonders. Braddock, Matthews, Pollard, and Pierce all finishing 1 lap down. Sanford had a rough pit stop. He fell back to 35th. Mary Shelley finishes 27th after starting 42nd, so not too bad of a run there for her. And so I guess with that, Steven, your final thoughts.
Well, it was a very, let me put this, single file 2008. Good win to Charles Jackson. We might have to examine the fuel tank for jet fuel. And Jessica came home 7th. Good run for Jessica. They needed that run. Well, next week we're going to go back to the damn border up to Canada for road course racing.
I believe it's
and,
Mosport.
I won the road. And you know what? I won that race last year, so looking forward to go back there.
Well, let's see if Steven can make it 2 in a row there. But either way, congrats to Charles Jackson on the race win. I'd like to thank Steven for joining me. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for watching. And with that, next week some road course racing. I'll see you next time.